Air miles on economic development missions to 29 countries. Earlier this month, Jim Schellinger surprised everyone, announcing he was stepping down. He's here with details on that decision and some big economic development deals as well. Carmel-based Haven Technology says it is creating the next generation of hearing protection. Founder and CEO Pete Murphy joins us to explain why he left the corporate world to create the award-winning ISO-Tunes. Plus,
I'm Mary Rachel Redmond inside downtown Indy's newest food-forward brew pub that serves a killer brunch and elevated cocktails. I'll have more from Brewing Downtown Indy coming up.
Details on those stories and much more ahead on this edition of Inside Indiana Business. Hello and welcome to Inside Indiana Business. I'm Gary Dick. Well, Jim Schellinger was appointed Indiana Secretary of Commerce in 2017. In the ensuing 4 years, he hit the road and the skies, selling Indiana to the world as a business destination. During his tenure, he made more than 200 economic development trips, including 61 international missions to 29 countries. The result, 4 years of record numbers for jobs and investment commitments. Earlier this month, in a move that surprised many, he announced he was stepping down as Secretary of Commerce. For some answers on why and what's next in the state's economic development pipeline, pleased to be joined by Jim Schellinger. Jim, welcome as always.
Thank you, Gary. It's always good to be with you.
Okay, what led to the decision? Because as I said, a lot of people, myself included, very surprised when you announced that you indeed were stepping away as Secretary of Commerce.
Well, you reach a point as a leader, and I've only really had 2 jobs in my life. I worked at CSO Architects as CEO and chairman, president at one point, and then with the IDC as secretary. And you reach a point, my predecessor used to say, you know, you have a shelf life. You're not a Twinkie. And he said, you go in with a splash, do the things you want to do, set out the vision for the group to get things achieved, which we did, make your mark and leave with just barely a ripple. And that was always his advice to me, and he was my business mentor, the only business mentor I had, and I just followed his lead. And I think we got to a point where we've set every record at IDC under Governor Eric Holcomb's leadership, which, as you know, is absolutely phenomenal. And then our pipeline is extremely strong, strongest it's ever been, with 13,000 jobs in the pipeline and over $3.8 billion in CapEx. So we're really positioned at this point in time as a state. We've proven ourselves. We're really out, one could say we're on fire. And I think that's a good time to bring in someone with a new vision, with new thoughts, to take us to that next level.
What, Jim, was it a tough decision for you to make?
Absolutely, hardest decision of my life. I thought on the way to the show here today, I had the best job in the state of Indiana, and I didn't love every minute of it. I loved every single second of it. It was such an honor to represent the people of Indiana, such an honor to be a part of their livelihoods and the businesses, to help the businesses thrive. I can't hardly describe how that was. Every single day was a joy. And I say the best job in the state of Indiana. There might be somebody who would argue that being on Inside Indiana Business might be the best job in Indiana. But I thought it was absolutely the best job, and it was such an honor to serve our board, to serve Governor Holcomb, the legislators, and most importantly, the businesses and families of Indiana.
Yep, should mention Mike Staten has been elevated within the organization to interim Secretary of Commerce as a search for your successor continues. But Jim, you mentioned the pipeline, which you say is robust, and you've got some examples for us this week, some brand new news on some major economic development deals. Among them, what came out this week, Alliance RV up in northern Indiana.
Yeah, there's 2 brothers up in northern Indiana, and they've developed a special place in my heart. So there's Coley Brady and Ryan Brady, and both Notre Dame graduates, just by coincidence. Their father went to Notre Dame, and their grandfather went to Notre Dame. And they started Alliance RV quite some time ago. There are about 350 people today, a booming business, and they've just now committed. Just now, this is hot off the press. It won't be made public till next week, but hot off the press, they're going to add 650 people to their team, and they're going to invest another $33.3 million in their organization.
Wow.
So they're on fire. They couldn't happen to a nicer couple of guys. They're really hardworking people, and they, when I had mentioned to them a while back that I would be on your show at this point, they said, could you please announce that? Because they are a big fan of yours, Gary.
I appreciate that. Another major announcement ready to be announced now. Phoenix Financial Services. It's here in central Indiana. They're going to have a major expansion in Anderson.
Yeah, and I talked to Chad Edmondson about that, and that's Phoenix Financial is a financial services company, and again, in Anderson, Madison County, which we're proud of. And they've already got 220 people up there in that organization. They're going to be adding 300 people. And the thing I should go back, I'm remiss in not saying about Alliance RV is the capital X at $33.3 billion. The number of jobs is impressive, but the average wage of Alliance RV is $42.45, and the average wage of Phoenix Financial is $38.25. Wow. So the wages of these jobs, all in all, right now, we spoke about 1,200 jobs, and the average wage for them is about $38 or $39, and that is something that I know the governor and the team at IDC are constantly honing in on. How do we improve the lifestyles of people throughout Indiana, that per capita income?
Okay, only have a limited amount of time here, Jim, unfortunately, but another big announcement. Greenleaf Foods got a major investment planned in Shelbyville, but they're coming to Marion County as well, taking over the old Kaido Foods building. Yeah,
I spoke to Dan Curtin, their CEO, last night. They're based up in Montreal. He lives in Chicago, and they're going to put $100 million into that Kaido Food building. It was formerly their cafeteria, because they can't wait for 3 years. Their building is very intense, as you can imagine, for plant-based proteins and all the FDA approvals and things they have to go through. So they've purchased that building. They're going to employ 115 people there, and that building will stay there in perpetuity. It's not just there until they get the new building. It's there in perpetuity. So their focus right now is Marion County.
Hey, Jim, sorry, we've got 15 seconds. Next steps, next move? Anything in mind?
You know, I've been asked that a couple times. I said, Laura wants to know that too, my wife. But I purposefully said when I left this job, this assignment that I love so very much, I wasn't going to have a next step because I wanted it to be pure. I wanted people to know I did it for the right reasons, not as a stepping stone. Yep. So I'm, for the first time in 36 years, unemployed. But I'll start working on it after I get my sea legs back.
Okay, good. And we'll look forward to reporting on that when that happens. Jim Schellinger, outgoing Secretary of Commerce, as always. Thanks very much. Thanks for your service as well.
Thank you, Gary.
All right. Well, Martha Hoover has been a powerhouse in the Hoosier restaurant industry for more than 30 years. And beginning Monday, you'll get to hear our conversation with her on the latest edition of our Business and Beyond podcast. Hoover opened her first restaurant, Cafe Patachou, at the corner of 49th and Penn in Indianapolis in 1989. Almost unheard of for a woman back then. Right off the bat, she experienced firsthand some of the biases women business owners faced.
And I called the builder up and said, where the heck is my dishwasher? And he said, you know, we made the decision to leave the dishwasher out because it was expensive to plumb in and expensive for you to purchase. And we did not, here's the kicker, we did not want to waste your husband's money.
A really fascinating conversation with Martha Hoover, passionate, insightful, driven, and a fierce advocate for women and minorities to get their shot at business success. Join us for our conversation with Cafe Patachou's Martha Hoover on this week's Business and Beyond podcast. To check it out, go to InsideIndianaBusiness.com and click on the subscribe tab. Up next, meet the Indiana business exec who said goodbye to the corporate world, started his own company out of his home, and is now seeing success around the globe with his hearing protection product, IsoTunes. More with Haven Technologies founder and CEO Pete Murphy when we return. It's time now to go inside innovation, brought to you by Allegion, pioneering safety. Carmel-based Haven Technologies is a family-built consumer safety brand specializing in hearing protection. In less than 5 years, the company created ISO-Tunes, award-winning hearing protectors that they say really increase productivity and promote connectivity. Founder and CEO Pete Murphy is here now with more on how he stepped away from the corporate world to create a company built on technology. Pete, welcome to the show.
Thanks, Gary. Really nice to be here. Thanks for inviting me.
You were a veteran of the corporate world, 3M, Dow, Honeywell, and made the decision to push that aside and go the entrepreneurial route. What made you do that?
Well, I'm an old guy, and I'd had some success with some of those companies, and thought before I retire, I wanted to do something on my own. And I always, have an innovative flair, and I wanted to sort of scratch that itch, if you will.
Yeah, and you created a safety product company, Haven Technologies, really using technology to create these products, in particular electronic hearing protection. You started small, your wife and son, out of your Carmel home, but you've grown substantially. Talk about this hearing product and what it's all about.
So basically, it came on at a time when Bluetooth innovation was just coming up, and it offered an opportunity for people to work in noisy environments but stay connected to their phone. And so I'll give you an example, Gary. If you were cutting your grass, for example, our devices really do a great job of blocking out the noise from the mower and allow you just to stream music. And if you get a phone call, the music stops, the phone rings in the headset, and then you can talk on the phone without a problem. And the person on the other end of the line, they can't hear the mower because it's a noise canceling technology.
Yeah, that's amazing. Talk about sales. You've grown into a global company distributing products around the globe. How are sales?
Sales are, knock on wood, are excellent right now. It's driven by the innovation that our team is creating. And that's really the driver of our business, is the innovation, the continuous innovation. We're always looking for make better products.
As you mentioned, probably drive around $10 million in sales and growing. And interesting, applications in manufacturing, construction, telecom, but you're looking to expand into a whole new area probably next month.
Yeah, so we're introducing a line of product called ISO-Tunes Sport, which are going to be targeted towards the sport shooting and range shooting and competitive shooting type places. And in that environment, it's obviously very loud, so that's very appropriate for us. And the type of technology that we have allows it to electronically block off that loud noise, but allow you to continue to talk to the people beside you. And we're going to have an in-ear version and as well as an over-ear version, a more traditional hearing protector.
Yeah, only have about 30 seconds, Pete, but as you look at growth opportunities, obviously you see it in the sport area. How do you look at growth prospects for the company going forward?
We're looking hard down the road at other areas of safety. We're first and foremost, we're a safety products company, and we're looking for other areas to bring some technology, whether that be safety glasses, hard hats, respirators, other areas where we can add some value for the end users. Pete
Murphy is the founder and CEO at Haven Technologies. Great example of innovation and entrepreneurship as well. Pete, thanks for joining us, and we look forward to following your story.
Yeah, thanks very much, Gary. Appreciate it.
Well, how does a beer made with peanuts sound? Or how about jelly donuts? Just a few samples of unique brews bringing beer lovers to Plainfield-based BrewLink Brewing and its new location in downtown Indy. Our Mary Rachel Redmond has the story in this week's Around Indiana. Here's what's making news now around Indiana. Brought to you by Chapman Heating, Air Conditioning and Plumbing, the man for all seasons. ChapmanHeating.com. Well, a popular Hendricks County brew pub has expanded to downtown Indianapolis in a familiar location off the Cultural Trail. BrewLink Brew Pub downtown opened this week just in time for March Madness. And as our Mary Rachel Redmond reports, whether you're looking for a wide array of craft beers or a host of unique cocktails, It's surprisingly the menu that may have you coming back for more.
You may recognize 714 North Capitol as the former home of 2D Brewing, but there's a brand new tenant in town that has craft beer connoisseurs and even the most fickle of foodies talking.
We're going to be a unique fit for downtown Indy because I think from a brewery perspective, I mean, we really focus on the beer, you really focus on the beverages, and you really want to have a good time with that. We want to stay outside the box with the options.
It's different from other places because we're so unique with the recipes that we have, you know, peanut butter in one, we have salted caramel in one, blueberry donut, we have bacon in one right now.
And speaking of bacon, the menu at Brewlink is far from what you'd expect when you picture your run-of-the-mill bar fare. Quite the opposite, in fact.
Not everyone, you know, focuses on the food. It's more of an afterthought, and we don't want that to be the case.
We didn't want to be confused with a bar. We're a brew pub. The food we want to stand out.
The key to Brewlink's mouth-watering cuisine?
It's the sauces. One of the bartenders said it best. It either needs to have sauce, cheese, or gravy on it, and you're going to have a great menu. I think that's going to resonate with the Indiana population.
And the best thing about Brewlink, it's not just beer. We've also got brunch, and we're talking delicious eats. Every Saturday, every Sunday, 10 to 6, not only do you have food, you have delicious homemade cocktails.
We paired up some of our breakfast cocktails. I mean, honestly, we already have a donut beer, the Stone Cold Hazy. You might as well drink it as orange juice. It's perfect for that. And then we have some signature cocktails that we have on the menu, the Honey Badger, the Spicy Margarita, Brunch Punch, and this Hoosier Shake-Up Lemonade. It tastes like the State Fair.
And for those consuming adult beverages, this location,
Right off the Cultural Trail, maybe not even a block, so go down walking with your family and stop in for lunch. So
lunch, brunch.
yeah, brunch, cocktails, beer.
And with big-time college hoops just down the street, Brewlink says it's poised to provide one slam dunk of an experience.
We are going to do some fun stuff on a daily basis. And as we go into the weekend, we're going to dedicate some new beers to the madness.
We're not too far from where it's all going to happen. If they're looking for good food and good drinks before they head to the game, they should stop by here.
But March Madness is just the beginning. The Brewlink crew has plans to be a fixture in downtown Indy for years to come.
I mean, we're looking for something that is going to be here for the next 20 years and just be a part of the city and the growth. I mean, we're looking for everyone in the neighborhood to know that you can come hang out, whether it's your watering hole, whether it's your restaurant. We're going to be here for you the next 20 years and something that hopefully we can pass down to our kids.
Mary Rachel Redmond, Inside Indiana Business.
All right, Mary Rachel, thank you. Well, also making headlines around Indiana this week after 5 record months of wagering, Indiana Sportsbook came in lower than anticipated in February. Data from the Indiana Gaming Commission shows Indiana sports gambling generated $274 million in February compared to January's record of $348 million. As Indiana prepares to host the entirety of March Madness, gaming analysts expect wagering records to be broken once again. Wigand Construction sharing progress on the redevelopment of the Electric Works project in Fort Wayne. Wigand says it will have monthly video updates over the next 18 months as it transforms the former General Electric campus into a live, work, play complex. Phase 1 of the nearly $300 million project scheduled to be complete in the fall of 2022. Well, when Vox Global set up shop in Indianapolis a decade ago, the agency quickly went into work mode for clients like Mitch Daniels. What better way to promote the opening of the first leg of I-69, I do remember that video, than have the governor take a spin on his motorcycle. More on the firm's evolution and a look at what's next. That's when we return. Well, in 2011, Washington, D.C.-based Vox Global established an office in Indianapolis. As the firm celebrates a decade in the Circle City, supporting clients in education, technology, financial services, now they are also working on matters of racial equity and other issues. With more on the firm's milestone and what's next, pleased to welcome back to the show Managing Director Mike Marker and Senior Vice President Francesca Jarosz Brady. Welcome to you both, and congratulations on 10 years. That is a great milestone.
Thanks, Gary. Appreciate it.
Well, Mike, I'll start with you because I remember when you launched the firm here in Indianapolis. Doesn't seem like 10 years ago. What does it seem like to you? What do you remember about those early days of establishing an office here in Indiana?
Yeah, you know, a couple of things come to mind as I go down memory lane. Right? It's been a great ride, wonderful first 10 years. And we've really been able to support clients across a number of different interesting kind of sectors, vibrant sectors. Everything from education and healthcare and the environment to issues around animal conservation and workforce development. And it's really been quite a ride. As I think about kind of the early days, we were able to start working with the Lumina Foundation, which continues to be a client. They're doing such really interesting work as it relates to education beyond high school, and also with NDOT and Governor Daniels too.
Yeah, we had video of Governor Daniels on I-69 on his motorcycle. I remember that. We were down there. Mike, how is business? How has the sector changed in your view, briefly?
You know, the sector's evolved in terms of way people consume information. Certainly people still get their information from newspaper and TV and radio, but it's also expanded too to social media and other platforms. And so we've really evolved as our clients' needs have, where they want to reach their audiences where they're at. So we've evolved to help them make that happen.
Francesca, you can talk about that evolution too. You were a journalist, I think, by trade, moved to the Mind Trust, then to Vox Global. How have you seen, what changes have you seen in the marketplace and the dynamics that you see are at play right now?
Yeah, absolutely. Well, I think building off of what Mike said, it's not only how we're reaching our audiences differently, but what we know about our audiences. And we, I think through both micro level data and really more macro level data, are really able to understand our audiences in ways that we haven't been able to in the past. So through, you know, big data tools, we can know how people vote and what kind of shoes they want to buy and what they believe about certain things. And then through behavioral science, which is really an emerging field that our team has tapped into and leveraged, especially in the last few years, we know, big things about how people make decisions and process information. So we're really trying to use those forces to the benefit of our clients to target our messaging more effectively.
Yeah. And I know you believe that's really a trend and a path for the future. Just limited time here, Mike. Only have about 25 seconds, unfortunately. But as you look at the merging of education and workforce, as you look at things that are really beginning to get more and more attention and traction, that's one of the areas.
Yeah, we do a lot of work in the education space, and in the state and around the country, education and workforce development are now more married up than ever. And so we're doing a lot of work with entities around Indiana, around the country, to help them help get more people prepared for the workforce of the future and get them the credentials and certificates that they need.
Mike, Francesca, thanks very much. We'll talk to you soon. Well, stay with us. Coming up next, we'll introduce you to the charcuterie girl, Hannah Esteban. That's when we return. Well, what started with a single post on social media has blossomed into a booming business for an entrepreneur in Idaville. That's just outside Monticello. In just 2 weeks, Hannah Esteban quit her traditional job to build her small business, which delivers colorful pick-me-ups to homes in the Lafayette and surrounding area. Business of Health reporter Kylie Valletta is here with more. Kylie.
Well, thank you, Gary. Think of a charcuterie board, but packaged beautifully inside a box and delivered to your doorstep, like a florist, but with food. Well, that's the business model for the charcuterie girl. The boxes are certainly eye candy, but packed with healthy snacks that help customers truly eat the rainbow. The charcuterie girl herself, also known as Hannah Esteban, joins me now to tell us more about her booming business. Hi, Hannah. Thanks for being on the show today.
Hi, thank you so much for having me. It's an honor.
Absolutely. Okay, so let's talk about how your business got its start. I know it has quite literally been a leap of faith for you.
It really has. So I started the week of Valentine's, so just like a month ago. I was just sitting at work kind of frustrated with my schooling. Just with COVID, things weren't working. Things weren't, classes weren't available. They weren't able to find teachers. So I was just kind of frustrated at work. Like I should have graduated in December and it wasn't happening. So I felt like I just had this idea at work. It was almost like God was just telling me, like, you've got all these ideas, so why don't you just go for it? So I texted my husband that day and I was like, you know what? I'm going to just go to the store. I'm going to buy some food and I'm going to order supplies and make up a box and just see if anyone would be interested in ordering for Valentine's. And I had like 60 orders that first week.
That's incredible. Your boxes are so beautiful. They really are almost too pretty to eat, really helping people eat the rainbow. They're so colorful. Give us an idea, what's inside the boxes?
So they have a variety of meats, cheeses, crackers, pita bread. I do chocolate dipped strawberries, all kinds of berries, veggies, honey, jam, goat cheese. There's a huge variety in it, and it's pretty guilt-free.
Right, we were talking about really, there's a few treats mixed in, but it's mostly pretty natural, healthy foods.
Yeah. You
All right.
Feel good about eating.
Right, feel good about eating them. They are beautiful. Your Instagram just makes me smile when I look at it. So tell me, what response has been like? I know you mentioned right out of the gate on Valentine's Day, things really took off. It's been about a month. How's it going?
Yeah, it's been overwhelming in all of the best ways. I keep saying, like, every week, I'm like, God's just like blowing my mind. It's been really amazing. Every day there's more and more orders. So it just keeps picking up and it's really taken off. So I feel really blessed and grateful.
I know porch deliveries are your main focus, but you have some clients that are thinking outside the box. Got my little pun in there. What are some of the other creative orders or creative ways that people are getting in touch with you for your services?
Yeah, so I've had a couple businesses order as like gifts for their employees. So like Employee Appreciation Day was a few weeks ago. So a dental office ordered from me. People are now asking if I can do like event tables. So that's something I'm hoping to get into. I've booked a few like smaller parties. It's kind of how I want to keep it, where I can do big grazing tables or come set up their boards and trays for them. And yeah, I'm really excited. There's a lot of opportunities with it.
All right, so just a few seconds left, Hannah, but I know you have some big dreams for the future for your business. Tell me what you're hoping to do, down the line.
Yeah, so we actually bought my grandparents' property. It's been in the family for over 65 years, and my grandpa was a woodworker. So we have a barn that's not being used right now. So for the future, dreaming big would be to have deliveries and a shipping facility out of there and be able to turn it into a commercial kitchen. So a lot of big dreams for the future. I'm excited.
Well, Hannah, I know that that would be pretty neat to turn that same woodworking business into a new business. I think these are great pick-me-ups during COVID. We all need a little mental health break, something to cheer us all, and great to your delivered right to your porch. So I think it's great. Hannah, thanks for being on the show today, and good luck.
Thank you. Thanks for having me. Have a great day.
You too. Gary, back to you.
All right, Kylie, thank you. Well, Indiana's unemployment rate dropped to 4.2% in January, down from an adjusted 4.6% the previous month. The Indiana Department of Workforce Development says the state had a net increase of 3,800 private sector jobs, mostly in leisure and hospitality, but manufacturing gained as well. The state's total labor force, which includes Hoosiers who are either employed or seeking employment, stood at 3.35 million for January. The unemployment rate is still a full point higher than it was in January of 2020. Well, Martha Hoover, she is a giant on the Central Indiana restaurant scene, and she's our guest on the next edition of the Business and Beyond podcast. Hoover opened her first restaurant, Cafe Patachou, in Indianapolis more than 3 decades ago. She introduced the farm-to-table concept to Indiana long before anyone here knew what it was, and her restaurant soon became destination dining. You might be surprised, though, at what Martha Hoover's favorite snack is.
Oh, easy. Chips, any kind of chip. I am a chip freak. Potato chips are at the very top of the tier. Then I go with tortilla chips. I don't like any of the like chickpea stuff. I want hardcore chips.
Really a fascinating conversation with Martha Hoover, a trailblazer among Indiana women in business, on the next edition of the Business and Beyond podcast starting Monday. To check it out, just go to InsideIndianaBusiness.com, click on the subscribe tab. Up next, we head to the University of Indianapolis campus, where the next generation of engineers will soon be learning in a new state-of-the-art facility. Details on R.B. Annis Hall and its relevance to students and the community. Well, new opportunities for future engineers studying at the University of Indianapolis. The school expanding its growing engineering school with the opening of the new R.B. Annis Hall, which will serve as the new home for UIndy School of Engineering. The new facility expected to have a big impact on students, industry partners, and the region as well. And for more, pleased to be joined this week on the show by UIndy President Rob Manuel and also R.B. Annis School of Engineering Associate Dean and Director Ken Reed. Gentlemen, welcome to the program.
Thanks for having us.
Hey, big news, this really totally renovated building, the new R.B. Annis Hall on the campus of UIndy. And I know the dedication is next week, so it's going to be a big day. Rob, when you talk about engineering at UIndy, it wasn't that long ago that this really became a focus. Why the focus on engineering? I know it's something that's really beginning to grow, but why do engineering at UIndy?
Sure. So we are a comprehensive liberal arts institution, which means we try to find the sweet spot between creating knowledge and practicing it. And when we look out into the economic development of our region, we want to make sure our programs are meeting those needs. And there's a big need inside of the engineering world to have creative programming developed. And about 4 or 5 years ago, we started that process. And next week, we'll open our 80,000 square foot building to a brand new set of programs.
Yeah, 80,000 square foot facility, an indication, I would think, that there's real demand, too, on the student side, the real interest in engineering.
We've seen quite a bit of inquiries and applicants and students coming to be interested in these programs. And I think once they see the facilities and they meet the now 19 new faculty that we've just hired and kind of see what's going to happen in the connection between them and the faculty and the facility, they're going to be pretty impressed.
Ken Reed, you're the Associate Dean of the R.B. Annis School of Engineering at UIndy. You're new to the role, coming from Virginia Tech after being there for several years. Talk about this new space, Ken, and really from an engineering, from a student standpoint, what it means.
Sure. Really, the thing that this building affords us the opportunity to do is to work with more students, of course, for expansion, but it also gives us some state-of-the-art lab space. I think the exciting thing is our students have the chance to work with local partners with our design spine curriculum, and that is where students from their first year all the way to the fourth year are going to work with partners on real, authentic designs. So they're going to deliver designs to companies. Companies are sponsoring them. They're going to work with how do you communicate with clients, different things like that. I think that's a really unique part of our engineering curriculum. And this building is going to give us a lot more really state-of-the-art space to do that, to have those meetings and bring in those partnerships.
Yeah, talk a little bit more, if you would, about the partnerships and students' abilities to really connect directly with companies, with the private sector here in central Indiana. What that means, for the region, for Indianapolis, but also for the students coming out after 4 years of that. Got to give them, in many respects, a leg up.
Absolutely. So, we work with a number of different central Indiana businesses, and we're expanding out all the time and always interested in establishing partnerships with more and more businesses to get different projects in. One good example is the Institute for Affordable Transportation. So our student team has designed a basic utility vehicle that's going to be for specifically for low-cost areas, perhaps developing countries and different places like that. So our students have worked on a basic design components of that, worked with that institute. They've been really happy with that project so far. We've worked with a couple of other industry within Indiana. It definitely does give our students a leg up. And hopefully one of the goals, I think, is to keep them here and keep them in Indiana pursuing an engineering career and really be a boost to the state and the region.
Yeah, it's a great point, Rob. To that point, that connection, supplying the talent pipeline, if you will, in Indiana, more specifically perhaps here in central Indiana, how important is that to you, Indy's mission?
It's critical both to not only educate within our walls, but to understand the role we play as part of our society. I'll tell you that we've got about 65 or 70% of our students that come to us from Indiana, but about 86% of our alums live in the state.
Wow.
So we're a net importer of talent to the economic development of our region.
Yeah. Rob, end up with you. Just got to ask you a question about, obviously, hopefully coming out of the pandemic now. How do things look looking ahead to the fall? Do you anticipate things will begin to get perhaps back to some sense of normalcy on campus?
I do, and I've been so impressed with the creativity and the dedication of our faculty, our staff, and our students. We're now currently testing a considerable number of people a week, and we're less than 1% positivity rate. As the vaccines continue to roll out and we continue to welcome people into the fall term, we expect to have robust campus operations and people back in community with each other come August and September.
Exciting times at the University of Indianapolis. Dedication in the week ahead of the R.B. Annis Hall, the new R.B. Annis Hall. Really pleased to be joined this week. Thanks very much, Rob Manuel, president at UIndy, also Ken Reed, the associate dean at the School of Engineering there. Thank you both very much.
Thanks for having us.
Thank you.
Okay. Well, 120 Water has been named to Fast Company's annual list of the world's most innovative companies for 2021. That list honors businesses that have found ways to be resilient and turn challenges into impact-making processes. This year's list features 463 businesses from 29 countries. The digital water solutions provider that is based in Zionsville ranked number 8 in the social good category for its work in tracking COVID-19 and wastewater. 120 Water says it is now the fastest growing digital water company in the country. Coming up next, a big honor for a longtime Indiana sports writer and educator. And March Madness is serving as the backdrop for the state to showcase Hoosiers doing remarkable things. More on the Indiana Destination Development Corporation's national campaign and the big-time Indiana personalities involved. Well, at a time in Indianapolis when there are many sports stories to be told and written, our next guest will be honored at the Indiana Sports Corporation's upcoming Pathfinder Awards as Indiana's inspiring sports storyteller. Bill Benner has more in this week's Inside Indiana Sports. Bill.
Gary, thanks. After an exceptional career as a sports journalist, Malcolm Moran came to Indianapolis in 2013 to direct the Sports Capital Journalism program at IUPUI. And over the next few weeks, both he and his students will be immersed in telling the myriad stories of March Madness. And Malcolm joins us today to offer his perspectives on this unique time in Indianapolis sports history. And Malcolm, my friend, welcome to the program.
It's great to be here, Bill. Good to see you.
Well, it's good seeing you. And again, congratulations. The Storyteller Award, inspiring storyteller. I mean, and your career goes back many, many years. You've covered virtually every great sporting event, not only in America, but throughout the world. But just your initial reaction, Malcolm, to being honored in this manner.
I think I'm still in shock, really, because even though it's hard to believe, as of this summer, it will be 15 years since I left industry for the academy. And so somebody has a really good memory, or old yellowed clips, or both. But when you think of the people that do that job currently really well in this market alone, they have more than enough candidates to choose from. So it's extremely humbling.
Well, and Malcolm, I think you're also being recognized not only as your own ability, which I recall very well, to be a storyteller, But what you've imparted to now, you know, for 7 or 8 years, the last 7 or 8 years, to students at IUPUI through the Sports Capital Journalism Project, and for people who might not know, just give us a brief description of what that program entails.
Well, it's got multiple levels. The MA in sports journalism on the IUPUI campus was the first of its kind when it was created a little over a decade ago. And now I think largely through the visibility of the program, a number of other schools have established masters in sports journalism. So it means that it's a more competitive field and students have more choices. We also have an undergraduate sports journalism concentration. And so we have opportunities for both undergraduates and graduate students. And the NCAA tournament opportunity is the latest one and probably the most ambitious thing that we've done since I've been here.
And again, we're into it now. The tournament is beginning, and away we go. You will have coverage, mostly I think on NCAA.com, but your students will be certainly embedded and providing in-depth coverage throughout the course of the tournament. And that has to be and you've taken them to the Olympics and previous Final Fours and so many, but to be this here with your home turf and the entirety of March Madness, this is an incredible special opportunity.
It's a great opportunity. And really the payoff, and I've given the spoiler alert to the students already. The payoff is, in a very short period of time, the progress they make from when they first walk into the venue for that first 4 or first round game, and they're a little bit wide-eyed and what am I doing here and can I do this, which is all natural. But then they focus in. And as I remind them, this is my 42nd tournament. I think I know what I'm doing. I've got your back. And my role is to make you look good. And to see them become more confident, sometimes hour by hour. I mean, I've seen that happen at something like the college football playoff. And then the real payoff is that when they emerge at the end of the experience and they know they can do it, they don't need somebody like me to tell them they can do it because they know they can. And that has translated into jobs. And so that's really why I'm so grateful for this opportunity.
Malcolm, we got less than a minute left. Difficult to sum up the Indianapolis input into staging the entirety of March Madness, including the Final Four. But again, an incredible, unique time in our city's sports history.
Well, and you've seen it all happen from a number of vantage points, but I can remember I did not attend the 1980 Final Four, but I have a lot of friends that did, and there was zero buildup as far as being excited to come here. In 1980, Indianapolis was just another stop. And to see what it's become, where not only is it a highlight among all the Final Four sites, but a place that can even think about trying to pull this off, is just a stunning advance over that time.
Well, Malcolm, we certainly appreciate you coming on the show. Congratulations again on the Inspiring Sports Storyteller as part of the Pathfinder Awards, April 1st. And again, congratulations on that award. And we'll see you around sometime during the month of March.
Where else would you want to be?
That's exactly right. Malcolm Moran, thank you so much. And Gary, back to you.
All right, Bill, thank you. Well, the NCAA Men's Division I basketball tournament, March Madness, serving as an opportunity to showcase all things Indiana with some familiar Hoosiers behind the promotion.
At Wolf Park near Lafayette, Indiana, Kaz Brooks lovingly cares for a pack of wolves and a herd of bison, and also partners with Purdue University to do globally respected research. Amazing animals, sure, but pretty neat people as well.
That's a familiar voice, Indianapolis native and proud Hoosier David Letterman, lending his voice to the state's new strategic campaign during March Madness aimed at highlighting why Indiana is an ideal place to live, work, and stay. The Indiana Destination Development Corporation has launched a national campaign called #MyInCrowd. It features Letterman and ESPN anchor and Indiana University alum Sage Steele. introducing Indiana residents doing remarkable things. And for more on the hashtag #MyInCrowd campaign, pleased to be joined this week by Indiana Lieutenant Governor Suzanne Crouch and Indiana Destination Development Corporation Secretary and CEO Elaine Beadle. And ladies, welcome to the program.
Thank you. Happy to be here.
Thank you.
Yep.
Good to be here.
Governor, I'll start with you. Hashtag #MyInCrowd. What is this campaign really all about?
Well, as you said at the beginning, all eyes are on Indiana right now. I mean, this is all about basketball. And what we want to do is to be sure that we put our best foot forward and we introduce the world to Indiana and everything we have to offer here. And who better to tell the story than people that are here in Indiana, either by choice or by birth. And so this campaign to really kind of introduce the outside world to Indiana and all we have to offer and our quality of life is what this campaign is truly all about.
Yeah. Elaine, talk about the campaign itself, because there are videos and a website. You're going to really launch this streaming during March Madness. Talk about the videos, some of the people that will be highlighted. As I mentioned, Sage Steele and Dave Letterman, very integral to the campaign as well.
Right. We've got 6 different 15-second videos, and Dave Letterman does the voiceover in all of them. You showed one of Kate. I just love that one. I think that one's great. Jerry Lee Atwood, who's someone else that we may not know, but he makes beautiful embroidered suits for the stars. And so someone, again, who's known nationally, but we probably haven't told that story either. So again, 6 videos, and you can go, they'll be on the streaming services. So as soon as the games start playing on the streaming services, you'll be able to see those intermittently. But you can also go to visitindiana.com/InCrowd and see all 6 of them right now, and hear Dave Letterman as well as hear Sage Steele talk about the videos. And then the great part is you can be part of this, and we want people to be part of this. That's how we get this out on the national scene, is if everybody keeps pushing it out on their social media and using the hashtag #MyInCrowd, so that you can upload your own videos, which will also end up on our website.
Yeah, and I know a big part of this, a big focus is perception, is changing perceptions. I think traditionally, Indiana hasn't necessarily had a bad perception. It's just maybe no perception outside of Indiana. And this is about maybe changing some minds.
Couldn't agree more. I always say we're humble Hoosiers. We work hard, put our nose to the grindstone, we do what's right. We don't expect pats on the back, but we aren't very good of telling our story. And that's what Elaine and her campaign is doing.
Yeah, and
right, Elaine?
Elaine, the Indiana Destination Development Corporation, that broader focus is on talent, and that talent pipeline, keeping people here, but importantly, getting people to come here and see what Indiana is all about.
Right. Our target really is to attract talent, to retain those great graduates that we have from our universities, and then to convert any visitors that come here. Give them an opportunity to see what it might be to live, work, start their own business right here in Indiana.
Yeah, and the unique aspect of the entirety of March Madness being in Indiana, I guess to launch a campaign at this particular moment couldn't be much more perfect, I wouldn't think.
Oh, absolutely. You know, we had just a short window to be able to do this. And so thanks to the leadership of the Lieutenant Governor, we were able to get all the troops together and move forward with this. And I think we're going to be very proud of what it does. And again, if we can get everybody to help push it out, we'll have a huge megaphone on a national stage.
Yeah. And Governor, I'll give you the last word, too, about attracting people statewide, not just to Indianapolis, but all over the state of Indiana, really showcasing the attributes of the state to get folks interested in the entire state of Indiana.
Oh, absolutely. And, you know, we know this isn't just about Indianapolis. We're playing games at Purdue. We're playing games at IU and Bloomington. And then they're going to have the Division II games in my hometown of Evansville.
Right.
So we're telling the story of Indiana. And who better to tell it than people from Indiana?
All right, it's a creative, really unique campaign, hashtag #MyInCrowd. You'll be seeing a lot of it, I'm sure, during March Madness, all focused here in Indiana. Suzanne Crouch, Indiana's Lieutenant Governor, also Elaine Beadle, the Secretary and CEO at the Indiana Destination Development Corporation. Ladies, thanks very much. We're looking forward to following the campaign.
Thank you.
Thank you, Jerry.
Okay, thank you. And I'll be right back after this. Stay with us. Coming up next week, we will introduce you to the new head of the IU Simon Cancer Center, Dr. Calvin Lee. He shares a bold vision for the center. And Cardinal Spirits in Bloomington expanding again. Thanks for joining us this week. I'm Gary Dick. Go out and make it a successful week.
Inside Indiana Business with Gary Dick is a production of Grow Indiana Media Ventures with support from WFYI Productions.